Josh Jacobs has been one of my most favorite players for the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, let's be real. This guy has been a stud ever since he became, or if he was a first-round pick coming up out of Alabama a couple of years ago. And in a lot of cases, he's kind of been the heart and soul of this team. Now, obviously, there's been some really good players, guys like Davante Adams, who I really felt like was just scratching the surface of still what he's going to bring for the Raiders. But overall, there's just no denying the kind of player that Josh Jacobs is. And yes, the article did come out about how he could potentially miss all the way up to the first week of the NFL regular season. But, I mean, just look at this guy, almost 5,000 yards in 40 years, 160 catches, 2,000 all-purpose yards last year. I mean, there's just not a lot of players like Josh Jacobs. But the question of do they need to bring him back is definitely still hanging. It's the biggest question. We understand all of that. Josh Jacobs needs to be back in a Raider uniform next year. I understand that overall you still have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the football. Clearly, Derek Carr left as well as Jarrett Stidham, so we're going to see if Jimmy G can play. But for one of the only guys that was just constant, for one of the only guys that was there for you, other than Davante Adams, who was an absolute stud last year, Matt Collins was okay, but Josh Jacobs led the NFL in rushing, and quite honestly, I think to a degree, he's earned another contract with the Raiders. Now, the question has to be asked, okay, first off, if they didn't re-sign him, who would they look at? Obviously, I think guys like Zamir White, Zeus, who I'm really excited about. I made a video earlier in the offseason about how I think he could absolutely take over for Josh Jacobs. But overall, he's not the same kind of a player. We would never say that because, again, Josh Jacobs is a special football player. However, I do think that, especially with how the NFL is going these days, NFL running backs aren't getting monster contracts. And Josh Jacobs, hate to break it to you, he ain't going to get that $10 million a year that a lot of the other former running backs in the NFL did. He's not going to get an Adrian Peterson type contract where it was worth, over $100 million. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. I wish it could, but overall, not going to happen. However, I do think that if they do play their cards right, maybe like at $7.5 to $8 million a year could make a lot of sense. And yes, I know Zamir White is waiting in the balance, but Josh Jacobs he's just a different player. And I think that for specific players like Josh Jacobs, you shell out the money, especially with this offense that's already going to be special with guys like Davante Adams, Michael Mayer. I'm also even really excited about guys like Trey Tucker that we've mentioned. But overall, this is a special offense. But I think that the Raiders still need to keep Josh Jacobs in-house. And yes, find a way to keep him happy, keep him with the Raiders, at least for the next couple of seasons. And then after that, maybe you really do kind of, do one-year deals or whatever. But I think for right now, Josh Jacobs has shown that he is not slowing down. He's still a very special player for him. He's the heart and soul of that offense, and he deserves to be back with the Las Vegas Raiders. But let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Leave that like and that comment. That's what helps people find the show. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. It's truly not wasted on us. But overall, let us know what you guys think about the Raiders needing to bring back running back Josh Jacobs.